Welcome to the American Studies World War II project. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make your general history screen. Your general history screen will be one of the easier screens that you have to code. All you need is a title, paragraph 1, paragraph 2, and you'll need a home button. Now, for those of you who made more than 2 paragraphs or your paragraphs are longer than others, notice that your page may have what's called the next button so that it takes you to a new screen so that you have just some screen space to include the additional information that you wanted to include. Either way, what we're going to do is go ahead and get started. When I go into code.org, I'm not sure if this is your first page that you've made or not, but I've got my code mode, my design mode, and my data mode. I'm going to click on design. And again, it doesn't matter if this is your first page or you've made multiple pages. I'm going to go ahead and click on this drop down and click on new screen. As I've mentioned in previous videos, the most important thing you can do when you add a screen or add a design element is to properly label it with a good ID. So I'm going to call this general history screen. If this, again, is your first video, you'll notice that this kind of convention where the first letter of the first word is lowercase, but the subsequent first letters of other words are capitalized. That's called camel case. Notice there's no space in between. This is super important. So go ahead and change your background color to whatever you want for your general history screen. Okay, and now we can begin adding the elements. As I said, there is just a title and then your paragraphs. So I'm going to use the label to create my title, and I want to change the ID first, general history title. And if this is your first video that you're watching, every ID of any element is going to have first the page that it appears on and then followed by a little description of what it is. Okay, and so my text is general history. Now I can go ahead and change my font size, maybe to something just a little bit bigger. I can resize it, reposition it to wherever I want it to be. If I wanted to change the text color, I can change the text color. If I wanted to add a background color, again, if this is your first video, you can add background colors. But if you didn't like that, you can just delete the background color and that goes away. All right. What I've done now is created my general history title. Notice that, again, if this is your first video, if I hover over that and click on it, my properties and events for this are for general history, but if I click right here on the screen, notice that my workspace changes over here. So now I'm back at the screen and I could change the color if I didn't like the color that I initially had. Okay, I'm going to click again on general history. And now I can add in my paragraphs. What I'm going to do for my paragraphs is, again, just add in a label. And now we're going to change our ID, general history P1, and I'm going to leave my text as is. This is where you're going to now copy and paste your paragraphs into this small place called text. All of your changes need to happen in your Word doc, wherever that's located, so that you can make the changes on there instead of on the page itself. So I'll go ahead and find my general history paragraph. I'll copy it over, and then I'll just paste it in here. Now I can adjust it, move it to wherever I want it to go, adjust it to however I want it to look, but make sure that I can get all my paragraphs there. Okay. Now I'll add my second paragraph by adding a second label in, and I'll call this general history P2. And I'll go ahead and copy and paste my text in here just like I did previously. Okay, so I'll go ahead and copy and paste second paragraph. And there we go. And now if you had 2 paragraphs, the last thing that you need to add in is your button. Okay, so I'll go ahead and add in my button. And I want to change this to general history home button. and I'll change the text to home. When I click on this, it should go back to my main menu. So if you change to home or begin or start, it doesn't matter, but I'll just leave it as home. And again, I can change my text color if I wanted to on this button. I could change my background color, whatever it is. If you've got two paragraphs and if you're done, or if they fit on one screen, then you're essentially done. The last thing that you need to do is add some code for this home button. What I'll need to do is go ahead and click on the Events tab, and I want a click event. When I click on this, it should do something. So I'm going to insert and show code. Now I had some other things on here. Here's my last code that I put in, general history home button. When it's clicked, notice that it already keeps a console.log. You can keep that in there, but I want to set the screen to a new screen. I want to drag over set screen from UI controls, and I want to set the screen to main menu screen. That's it. If I wanted to test it out, I can go ahead and click on these buttons and then make sure that general history goes back to main menu. But if you don't have all those pages, you are done with the code at this point. Now what I'm going to show you though is if you have more than one paragraph or more than two paragraphs or they don't fit on your screen. Okay, so again, if you're done with two paragraphs and that's it, everything fits on one screen, you can stop the video here. But if yours doesn't fit and if you have more paragraphs, you can continue to watch. So how would I fix this now? I'm going to go into design mode and I'm going to go ahead and delete this general history button. And I click on properties. I'm just going to delete that. Okay, I'll go ahead and go to code mode and just delete the last code that was set. Okay, and I'll go back into data mode, and now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add a next button. So I'll drag in a button and I'll change this to general history next button 1. Okay, and I'll change the text to next. Okay, right now this button should take me to a new page. So what I'm going to have to do is create a new page. So I'll go ahead and click on the drop down and start a new screen. And I'm going to want to change this name to General History Screen 2. Okay, and I'll add in my color, whatever I want to add in. The only thing that you need to add into General History Screen 2 is a new label. And with that label, I'm going to call that General History Screen 2. Oops, sorry. General History 2, I'll just call it 2. Paragraph 3. General History 2 P3. And what I want to do is just copy and paste in my text. So if this is my third paragraph, I'll go ahead and copy and paste in my text. Adjust it as I need to. Okay. If I needed to add in another paragraph, if I needed more space, I'll just call this one General History 2 P4. And then I can again paste in more text. And now I can put in my home button. So I'll add in a home button, General History Home button, and then I'll put in home here. And now here's where I'm going to need to add in some code. So you've got two screens, you just need to add in code for those two buttons. Let's go back to the first screen and let's click on the next button. Notice that my property changes. I'm going to add a click event. Insert and show code. It takes me to code tab, and I'm going to go back to blocks so that I can see this a little bit more clearly. So when the next button is clicked, I want to set screen, and I can select down here. I want to go to General History Screen 2. Okay, and now that I have that, I'm going to go back into design mode. I'm going to go into Screen 2 and get to my home button. Notice my property changes. Oop, let me click on properties instead of events. Home button. I want to add an event here. When this button is clicked, go to the main menu. So I'll add a click event. It adds in some more code down here. I'm going to set the screen here to, in my case, I have main menu screen as a dropdown because it's one of the screens I created. If you don't have it, you can just type in main menu screen. And there you have it. You've got two screens now filled with paragraphs, a home button that works. I'm going to go ahead and test to see if that actually works. General history, here's the first part, then click next. Okay, it goes to my next paragraph, and now click home, and it takes me back to the same page. At this point, you're done with the general history button.